Skewmon. Skewmon has had 2 good games on the Trundle as well as the Poppy there for him. Plus 2 props to Broken Blade, looking a lot better. All in all, that would just look like G2 are so much more confident now. You would expect them to continue this snowball in this series. So it's time for GAM to really dig deep.
All right, GAM back on the blue side. They'll continue banning the Azir and the Maokai like last game. However, the Draven, the trademark pick there for Hans Sama, also going to be banned. Over on the other side, things are looking very similar to the first 2 games here for G2's bans, as they'll continue banning the Nocturne alongside the Rumble. But what will the third be? Gwen was there in game number 1, but didn't come around until the second half of the bans in game number 2, and the TF will remain there from game 2.
All right, so they opt for it this time around. Let's see, little bit of a pinch on jungle, and they're immediately going to go for the Wukong. Okay, so Annie is up. Wukong plus Annie is a very good combination, and it is a very good, like, straightforward wombo team fighting, get some good engage. That would be a very good look for GAM.
All right.
If you're already thinking about that from G2, then are you thinking about, you know, taking it away, or would you rather get some counter engage going for yourself? Well, okay, they get some wombo possibilities of their own. Sometimes it can be hard to play Misfortune when
that's an insta-lock Nunu.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that's not a hover. That's instantly locked.
Let's go! This reminds me of Worlds last year.
No, as soon as I saw the Nunu, I was like, wait, why isn't the little thing flashing around his portrait? It's because it was just instantly slammed.
G2 also have a Nunu streamer under the organization.
That's right, yeah.
Kesha is he's probably jumping on his chair right now. I wonder if they did a little training. Maybe they got
a little Nunu boot camp.
Yeah, a little Nunu boot camp. Okay though, but Zyra Khan, the instant double locking here for the safety and comfort for Artemis. This is such a big pick for him. You know, second most played of the split, and instantly combo it there with Elio's Rakan. They do love this duo. Okay. And when you're looking at a lot of you know, snowballs and engage and type stuff coming through here,
I mean, you have bullet time plus pop blossom. If Nico can grab multiple targets and Misfortune is just emptying the guns over the top of that CC, it is a recipe for either disaster or success, depending on whose side you're viewing it from. But Caps on the Nico, a lot of playmaking potential here.
Skewmon also is 8-2 over his career on Nunu. So it is a very good champion for him.
Pretty good.
This definitely looks good. So the Nico 2, also there you're talking about, that thing did get nerfed, you know, 20 damage on the Q early on, but buffed up a little bit for the scaling for it later. So definitely has those mid lane options. Could be a mid lane or a support. Whereas in the past, for the past couple of months, you know, Nico has been the support go-to, but it was one of the biggest changes with the MSI patches.
And I think I heard you guys talking about it on the cast yesterday. It's like whenever you see the nerf to the base damage, but the buff to the ratios, they're saying, no, get out of support. Go back to mid lane.
Exactly.
We'll see if that's where they want to go. But the champion that you were talking about and the champion that I was talking about potentially for GAM with the Annie and the Gwen, those are going to be both the bans here in the second half for G2, as GAM will ban away the Sylas.
Yeah, definitely. If they're not going to grab those in the first 3 picks, is going to get dropped. They're kind of expecting Annie will get banned away, not going to be an option later. But what else here? Because they're definitely expecting the Nico as support since they banned Sylas.
The dog.
And they pay respects to the Warwick. It got banned against Broken Blade so much, fairly frequently there in Europe. So even with the rough game that he showed here at this tournament, the respect is still there.
Very different look from the hover over it in game number 1, where they were trying to remind him of it on that first day. Let's see what G2 wants to go with. The Ambessa locked in for Broken Blade.
All right, what answers are available? I mean, you could go super strong stuff. In North America, of course, we have Blippo, and Blippo does Volley Bear sometimes into it, try and stop. The Renekton is, of course, banned from Fearless, so that's not an option to try and take it down. But hovering on the Kennen, the range. There we go. Ares comes in. Ares gets his Ahri. Some playmaking here for them. They really need it for the side of Cam 2.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Aurelia did get buffed on the patch, but that thing is risky in professional play, especially against a Nunu, which can gank you so frequently.
Okay, the Jax locked in for Kiaya. Jax versus Ambessa, your top lane matchup. The Ahri, you mentioned it, popular pick for Eris. Also one of those champs that you mentioned last game, like one of those mid-range, like scrappy skirmisher type of mages. We'll see how much they can get done with that one. It does mean with the Jax being the top laner for the side of GAM, you're gonna have your main initiations there, be with the Wukong and the Rakan, but I think that's more than enough big initiation between those two ultimates. And the final pick of the draft for G2 will be the Tristana in the mid lane for Caps. So it will be support Nico after all. G2 doesn't have a main, loves to spam those ganks like you're talking about. But here we go, Summoner's Rift for what could be the last time today if G2 wins it, or if GAM can pull off their big team fights, they still have a chance to extend this series, take us to game 4, and potentially even further beyond. Last game, remember that we had 4 kills before 2 minutes. It looks like this time around, Kobe, we're going to get a much more patient start.
I'm excited for it. See what Skewmond Nunu looks like here on the international stage.
Okay, spellbook there for Rakan, so you can see there's kind of what you were talking about back in game number 1. He's not feeling the pressure of needing to have something like a Guardian there in the lane early on for this one. As there's a look at Skewmond on this Nunu, we'll be keeping track of him throughout the early game, seeing what he's doing. But G2, talking about this team, this is a history of how they have come in to international competition in the past. One thing you will notice on this list, there is a lot of number 1s. This is the most accomplished EU organization, period. This is the only Western team to ever win MSI. And so when you look at this series, when you look at the fact that these two teams were supposed to be very evenly matched and G2 is dominating, G2 is a team that has a history of performing at a very high level, and I feel like this is G2 locking in.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been questioning that history with this new version of G2 and the slow start to this tournament, the rough start that they have had. So an important bounce back in the last game for them.
Okay, Caps hitting them with the explosive charge, and Eris immediately does not want to give any more auto attacks to that one. As we can see, Skewmond just clear and through his jungle here on the Nunu.
Yeah. Especially since they, did say with these G2 changes that this roster built for international success. See what they can do. Moving on to the next stage is the first step, of course.
Yeah, can't win a tournament if you don't make main stage. Not gonna happen. As immediately, Caps playing aggro on the Tristana. You love to see it, the confidence here. And I feel like you've gotta have confidence after the performance from last game. Caps was just dominating start to finish. What was it, like 3 minion wave lead, 6 or 7 minutes into the game, something absolutely absurd. Just totally in control, as Kiaya is taking some early control over this top lane carry matchup.
And I don't think Caps is too worried at all about the mid laner swap either. I think he probably feels pretty confident about handling either one of them, especially since we are really hyping up this Nunu pick.
Yes.
It is not a frequent pick in pro play. So the last time that Skewmond did play it was in the LFL, the Tier 2, and was in summer of 2024. But Caps, this is a look at some of those numbers in the first couple of games, and that game too. Quite a big early lead there, Flowers. Remember, the rest of his team at the time did not enjoy the luxury of those leads, especially the bottom lane, that he had to go then realm warp down and kind of correct the situation.
The other number I'm noticing is only a 1 in the death column on both games. Remember that in game number 2, that death didn't even occur until the overextension underneath the tier 3 turret up there in the top side. So really impressive performance there from Caps. Here comes the snowball. Skewmond coming in for the turret dive here at level 3. They root up Artemis. He and Elio, though, do a good enough job surviving, staying healthy enough, both with about half HP left, but a nice tangle barbs there from Lebrov for some extra damage on the back into the trade. Lebrov lost about half HP, but honestly, they do get the better of the bottom lane of GAM. That was both summoner spells from Elio to try to stay alive there.
Caps goes for a little bit of the health trade on the bottom side, and the response from Levi is there, although it is warded, so not going to Not going to cost them too much time either, though. Just right back to respawning Krugs. Same thing for Nunu, though. Both junglers here on fairly similar timers as far as their second clears. Faded Ashes, the important pickup there for Skewmond to be able to hyper accelerate that clear. Maybe not hyper, it's not quite the right word for Nunu, but to accelerate it. Yeah. And he gets the extra control ward, both of them.
And we still really haven't seen a monster performance from Kiaya so far in this series. He hasn't really had the opportunity to do so, right? Game number 1, he got focused. He got shut down on the Gnar very hard to the point where when he had that big opportunity in the jungle to make a play, he was just a little bit short in terms of damage. Then in game number 2, the Jace, again, never having the chance to do what they wanted it to do. Caps eats both parts there of the Spirit Orb, so wants to jump all the way away from that one. Down to 150 HP, no potion remaining. Gonna start the channel here on the recall, staying far enough away, but Eris will still interrupt that back as Elio jumps in. Gleaming Clue over the wall, finds a target though. They're gonna interrupt the recall of Hans Sama. Levi is here. Hans does have summoner spells available to try to get away from this one. Barrier is in. Ooh. The feathers don't hit it. First blood goes over to Elio. Levi flashes forward to try to confirm it, but the recon damage was already there. It's first blood over to GAM.
Yeah, I mean, so he does go down. Hans Sama makes them use some more flashes, and he makes the kill credit actually go over to the recon there. Artemis trying to flash does not actually get the kill credit where they really wanted it. So the majority of the money into Elio, but the kill is definitely success for them. Skewmond on a ward tries to go back out, preying on the reset, even with Mountain Drake being fairly tanky. Burning it down nicely.
I mean, Mountain Drake is tanky to most junglers, but most junglers are also not a Nunu, so I feel like that should be pretty easy business there for Skewmond.
And a fairly common Nunu build is the Leandries into full tank.
Ooh.
Trying to go mess around with him, of course, with a spellbook. You always want to get in there and try your hand at the smiting game too as a support, but Nunu very hard.
Ooh, public execution from Broken Blade as Kiaya wanted to try to go in for the play here. Now that is the ultimate for Broken Blade. Kiaya still has his available on the Jax, as now we're back down in the bottom lane. Skewmond again hanging around here, but he's stealing the enemy red buff. Meanwhile, they're in the heads of Artemis and Elio. Now Broken Blade is in danger. Levi making his way up here. They know the Ambessa does not have the ulti to try to outplay this. It's going to give him the opportunity. Broken Blade there with a flash away. Kiaya gets his kill. GAM, 2-0 on the board.
Levi and Kiaya, the GAM duo of the ages here. They find the kill onto Broken Blade. It's under tower. They're denying minions as well. The answer on the opposite side. The response after the red buff steal.
Oh, Elio trying to stop him here. LeBron is down to 100 HP. Feet of Warfare going to be claimed now by GAM as they get themselves an outplay in a 2v3. They shoot down Lebrov and they slam the brakes on G2's plan.
Is it GAM time, Flowers? Is it finally GAM time in this series?
At least in the early game, my friend. The clock has struck GAM in this third one. Levi getting the plays done up in the top side. Artemis and Elio outplaying in the bottom lane. It's looking like a great start.
Yeah, I mean, Nunu, one of the frustrating things on Nunu is when you're trying to snowball like mobile champions, they're just juking you all over. They go for the dive. They drop the kill there. The successful play from GAM up on the top side as well. Now mid.
Lebrov getting charmed, but it's only the clone. Real one gets knocked up into the air, but Eris is taking a ton of damage here from Caps. Levi tries to go back in, but the Pop Blossom manages a catch. Levi in some danger. Lebrov knocks him down.
G2 trying to put a stop to that again, Tom, very quickly, because this is going to lead right into the grubs as well. Caps getting instant value on top of it.
Caps trying to dive between turrets for the kill onto Eris. Wants to get the reset. Will end up getting the explosive charge detonation to bring this game back to near even gold.
When in doubt for G2, Flowers, where do you go? You go to mid lane.
You go to Caps.
Go play around mid lane. They go mid and everything just gets better. They play around Caps. They get turret plate money. They get the grubs. They get the kills. They have actually wiped that whole gold lead off of the map.
Turns out, when your team has a guy that the majority of people consider to be the best Western player of all time, you should probably play around that guy. You might have some good chances.
That is advised. why try anywhere else?
Yep, you've got the secret sauce. It's right there in mid lane, part of a balanced diet for all main stage participants.
And with the turret plate money, especially there on top of the kill for Caps, the full Yun Tao's is completed really early on. So Eris is going to have some pain coming his way in the mid lane. Plenty of wards, too, around them in the mid lane here to try and create some extra vision for Caps so he can kind of hover up on the top side.
You can already see that CS difference is starting to remind me a lot of game number 2. Caps plus 20 compared to Eris here on the Ahri. That means not only do we have the kills, we've got the extra farm lead. It's starting to already begin to resemble that second game and the Rise carry. Let's see what Skumon can do here on the Nunu. Is going to make his way into the enemy jungle here, see if there's anything he can steal away. Nunu always an excellent buff thief. Takes a chomp out of it, but Levi is ready and waiting. Problem is, Eris is stuck underneath the turret, and Caps is continuing to aggressively trade. So many auto attacks means Levi doesn't have the confidence to really fight Skumon for this buff. He ends up losing out on that one. And now we've got Lebrav and Hans up here looking to make the kill happen onto Kiaya. Bullet time, Pop Blossom, Snowball, the whole kitchen sink. Skumon takes the kill, and G2 ties it up 3-3.
Yeah, that Jax ain't moving anywhere. Chomps him down as well. For the final little bit there, and G2, wait a second, on the bottom side of the map, Broken Blade trying to deal with the other side of the swap. Can Artemis and Elio put as much pressure? They're getting teleported on. That's why Broken Blade is staying under here.
Yeah, Broken Blade knows he has the public execution if he wants to try to make something happen here, but they burst him down before he can do anything about it. Caps should be able to get one back here onto Elio with the explosive charge there. No amount of shielding is going to save him from that. Ends up being a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, Caps teleports in, tries to correct the situation. Money's still going over there, though, into the hands of Artemis, trying to get some power onto their AD carry that they need to be able to fight some of these team fights, because G2 already looking like they are going to have the most powerful AD carry in the game, and that is Caps.
All right, Broken Blade teleports up there, but it's a 3-man play coming out from GAM, looking to burst him down.
Again?
Man, I can't even finish the sentence. Broken Blade getting bullied here in this third game as Eris has to use Spirit Rush to get away bottom side. Lebrav at the point blank Tangle Barbs threatening to lock him up there as GAM are full committing to try to take down the tier 1 turret, but G2 is doing the same thing down here in the bottom lane. The Grubs, it's 3 for the side of G2. They are burning through it faster. GAM still trying to get it.
Explosive.
It's a full race for the first turret, but it goes over to GAM, and they'll earn the boots with it.
Woohoo! Nice little race there. They do get that upgraded boots here for GAM, but G2 have taken the gold lead. And again, it is a recipe they have found success with. Huge gold lead, the majority on Caps. Difference this time around, Kiaya. The star here for GAM on his Jax. Can he carry?
Kiaya with the 40 farm lead over Broken Blade. An even stronger advantage than the plus 30 that Caps has in the mid lane there. Now Kiaya dodging away for the public execution, but Broken Blade's got Caps. Kiaya's not getting away from that one. He even wastes the flash on the exit to the fight, and that is Caps getting paid again.
That is teamwork, Flowers. That is teamwork. Broken Blade, yeah, he calls over his carry. Caps summoned, and Caps takes down the opposition. That is huge because he also gets extra money from the tower afterwards. With how these games have been so focused on pushing for those extra turret play money, getting that kill in the side lane and opening up here means that they're going to draw Levi out of the jungle over into vision here, so no more surprise plays from GAM. G2 enjoying the extra little power play after their kill.
Kiaya just barely missing out on that one, but still commanding a 1.4K gold lead for the side of GAM individually. Overall, it's about that much the other direction for G2. Hans Sama getting caught out by Eris, but Elio is too slow on the follow-up, so they can't get anything, and that just means low HP. But now Caps in danger. Levi over the wall. Caps jumps to safety, and Levi beats him over the head for a nice shutdown. That erases almost the entirety of the G2 lead, and GAM are staying in this one.
Yeah, 2 can play at that game, Flowers. I also have a huge teammate to call. Wait a second. How how much they want to go for this, because you see the Misfortune walking over.
Here comes the redemption. Pop Blossom, though, from Lebrov. He could be in a little bit of danger here. Skumon is knocked up into the air. The follow for the second Cyclone coming out from Levi. Kiaya barely getting away from the bullet time. Kiaya and Skumon both hanging on by 100, 200 HP. Lebrov also barely escaping. Both teams completely committed to the skirmishes in this one.
Yeah, we're just scrapping everywhere, Flowers. This one, they're trying to create the fight and banking on the fact that Misfortune with the strut move speed is going to be able to get there in time to pick up the extra kill that they try and set up. But yeah, there you go, that rocket jump on the fat part, nice and interrupted, and then over the top into the bonk.
That wall is tricky, man. Many a League of Legends player has fallen victim to the fat part of that wall, thinking that you have enough distance, thinking you'll be able to clear it, and it just doesn't quite work. Plate money, this is the most plate money yet in this game. Game 1 had barely any plate money between the teams. Game 2, all right, a little bit. Game number 3 now, more than 2,000 gold between them, just in plates. Like you said earlier, it's been so much pushing, so much shoving waves, so much collecting plates, and now G2 are also going to grab themselves the Rift Herald. G2 have 3 Grubs, the Rift Herald, and both Drakes. They have completely controlled neutral objectives so far this game.
Yes, they have, but let's see. GAM pushing back with the priority there on the side lane. They want to funnel more into the Jax. The Rakan hovering the Jax to try and get Kiaya more solo gold, solo turret gold. Caps trying to move in, but they've taken over the jungle, and they do get what they came for. GAM with the force play. It's going to take Broken Blade a while to push in on top side, and Eris already rotating over to go compensate on the top lane. So nicely done there from GAM, a little bit of pushback from themselves, get themselves that tower for Kiaya.
All right, Broken Blade versus Eris up here in the top side, excuse me, as Kiaya is down bottom lane against Caps. Drops a counter-strike, but Caps has enough extra distance with Rocket Jump compared to the distance of Leap Strike that he creates enough space that Broken Blade cannot stun him with that counter-strike in time. Eris just trying to hold the line here against Broken Blade. But one thing that I'm noticing here, Kobe, look back at the mid lane. Eris has now caught up to Caps in terms of farm. Meanwhile, topside, Kiaya maintains the massive lead over Broken Blade of plus 30. Good job here from GAM, making it so they can make up those resources, especially considering we spent so much time in games 1 and 2 talking about how G2 was doing a better job of making GAM bleed resources.
Yeah, keeping up their CS this time around with those pushes. Snowball here gonna do not a lot this time around, and again, GAM pushing 2 lanes first. They push mid lane first. They've got top lane pushing first, in time for the Dragon.
Okay. Skumon's not going to find anybody with that bowling ball. Right into the gutter it goes. We do have the Leandries completed on the Nunu, working towards what'll probably be that dead man second like you're talking about. Leandries into the tank stuff there for Nunu, make him more of a new nuisance. As nice engage from Broken Blade there with the public execution onto Eris to interrupt the back. Eris, of course, does still have enough mana for the Spirit Rush, so he will not be threatened with lethal damage, but he is interrupted in terms of his tempo, in terms of having that ulti moving forward. GAM trying to stop the Herald from going forward into the turret. They might just pop it before it can get any value. Nice stop from GAM.
Nice job. Turns it around, gets the eyeball proc. Kiaya's here on the Dragon. They're forcing once again. So they're sacrificing top lane once again. G2, they've got Broken Blade on the tower up there, and he's going to get it.
This means for GAM, you've got to make sure you get this Drake. If you're already giving away the top lane tier 1, you've got to get what you came for on the other side of the map. And they will be able to force G2 back for now. Elio goes in for a quick knock up there onto Lebrov, but Skumon rolling the snowball down towards the pit. Not going to matter. He's already too late. Levi jumps back over the wall. Eris moves back top lane to deal with Broken Blade's push, but Broken Blade has already fully recalled. So this is a nice bit of a rebound for GAM. I said earlier that G2 had controlled every neutral objective. GAM finally stopping the Dragon stack here, as well as I'm going to count it as a -1 towards G2 instead of a +1 for GAM, because they stopped the Herald. So that one doesn't count. That's not credit anymore.
The Captain Flowers math. I like it.
So -1 to the enemies instead of a plus for you. It's the same difference.
I want to see, as we progress in this game, can this comp that GAM have opted into with so many champions that really benefit from flanking and benefit from these quick pick opportunities, can they find their engages, especially onto the Misfortune? Because a Tristana is fairly slippery as far as a target. Yes, you'd love to get caps and lock them up, but having a lot of self-peel options and being able to buffer rocket jump makes things difficult. Okay.
Right. Artemis with a little bit of a root there onto Skewmon. Decent chunk of HP, but nothing crazy. Still defending the tier 1 turret.
Yeah, having the Xayah ultimate down, not having that safety now. Kiaya wants to make a play in the side lane, but Nunu's coming down. You see on the mini-map.
Okay, Broken Blade with a public execution to stop Kiaya as he goes aggressive, but a nice jump over the wall there towards the ward with a leap strike. Kiaya getting himself away for now, maintains Mac distance there with the counter strike, gets Broken Blade on the very edge of the stun, has the redemption coming in from Elio at the same time, plus the blast cone means he's out of there.
Yeah, it's a bit reaching there from Broken Blade, going for the flash after. Nunu can't follow up after snowballing down the other side, so the offensively blown flash from Broken Blade from G2 gonna be the cost, and those things are critical in the capabilities of these team fights with how much scrap is going on here. I mean, all the flashes being available on Levi and Kiaya and Eris. Definitely going to put a lot more threat here. Hansama's got to be careful with his positioning, but G2 doing a good job right now in the fog of war, taking this Otacon.
Yeah, G2 starting it up. GAM have got to find some kind of an answer here. Kiaya has the teleport. He's down to the bottom lane, but Otacon is already down to 40% HP. Levi and Elio walking up, scaring G2 back. Eris ready to join, already using one Spirit Rush. Finds a charm into Hansama, putting the pressure onto the AD carry, but Lebrav is coming around from the side, looking to find the Pop Blossom. Otacon stolen away by GAM. Hansama with the flash over the wall, staying alive. Kiaya looking to chase him down. It's Otacon plus a kill over to GAM, but what about Elio? He gets himself back away. Broken Blade exhausted, having to retreat now too. GAM find a fight, they find an angle, they find what they needed.
That Misfortune Flowers, that big juicy target on G2. They get him, they get both summoner spells, and they got the Otacon here. GAM, can they push this series another game? This is the beginning. The gold lead here, the Otacon, and this is versus Nunu, so they full send, they push them off of it. Get him far enough away. Eris is the one that started out onto Misfortune here. Hansama, he lands the charm, he gets the first little bit of chunk, then Lebrav comes in to peel Hansama, but he peels the other side, and he can't peel everyone. Kiaya there was the other one to flank over, and he finishes off that Misfortune. Meanwhile, buying so much time on the other side, Elio is able to recon ult and buy the space.
GAM got to keep it up, though. They got to keep this pace moving forward. They are slightly ahead in terms of the flower petals, even after claiming Otacon, which meant they were seriously behind earlier if Otacon only evens you out. So, despite the fact that G2 have controlled most of the neutrals, GAM gets the big one in Otacon, and they also have the feats of strength with the boots to kind of even out the count overall. Eris moving top again to deal with Broken Blade on the Ambessa, who is having his roughest game so far of the series. Caps gets stunned as he tries to jump back over the wall. Kiaya on the hunt, looking for the Tristana, but Buster Shot is a great disengage mechanism. Problem is, here's Levi, the captain, gets it done as Eris continues his retreat away from Lebrav and Hansama. The last remaining charge of the Spirit Rush is enough to get him to safety, but now it's G2 again, looking for pressure onto a tier 2 turret. GAM taking the tier 1 over in mid lane at the same time. Skewmon rolls a snowball up to see if maybe he can psych him out a little bit, but GAM is undeterred. Levi and Artemis do a lot of damage to this turret very quickly. This time around, Kobe, this is the difference. If G2 are getting a tier 2 top, GAM is getting a tier 2 mid. They're not allowing G2 to out-macro them like we saw in the first 2 games.
Exactly. They're the ones taking control, being proactive, forcing this play, pushing mid, pushing bot side. They make the rotation over through the jungle to take down Caps, chop down the Tristana yet again, and really play to Kiaya. Levi and Kiaya, the dynamic duo of this team. All right, Caps, though, he wants revenge. And Eris, his Ari ultimate isn't quite up. A couple of seconds left on it. He's getting chunked so far down.
Oh, I think Skewmon might just explode him. Yeah, okay, Caps was there, but he didn't need to be. Skewmon, nice job there finding the pick.
Yeah, G2, they make the call. You're going to be over by Dragon, so we'll make the side lane play on the other side of the map to get some gold back. That gold goes into Nunu, though, and that gold just kind of funds the Dead Man's Plate. If that Dead Man's Plate movement speed does result in a future pick, then it is high value. But you really have to be able to get make use of it to get that snowball gank off and punish one of those side lanes.
And the nice part is for GAM too, in the last tier 2 turret for tier 2 turret trade, remember that the one G2 took was top lane. So it's not like Caps can continue pushing, trying to take the tier 2 up in top, since it was already the spoils from the last trade. So it doesn't end up being a big swing like it otherwise could be. It is still a good kill there to get some more money on G2's side. That dead man's up and running like you were talking about. 8 to 6 overall in kills, plus 500, which really is nothing at all at this point in the game for GAM. So really coming down to execution in this one. Both sides pretty even. Skewmon getting knocked up into the air. The quickness from Elio. Tries to use the redemption to keep himself healthy enough to survive the explosive charge, and he does. Elio nearly killed. Skewmon at half HP.
Yeah, Nunu, if he can find something to chomp, can heal up pretty quickly. I mean, Krugs are very far away, so looks like he's pinging over to his Raptor spawn, but some chunks of health there. And again, it is the Spellbook Recon, so not too big of an investment. They go for the teleport play. Can they make the pincer happen?
Yeah, they're going for the TP now as Caps has to rocket jump away to the very edge of the fight. Broken Blade wants to go in, and he gets into the very back of the fight, but Hans Sama's already down. Broken Blade having to run away. Kiaya chasing further after the remaining targets. Lebrov trying to get a little bit of extra distance, flashes away from the charm of Eris. Hans is down, and now we'll see what else GAM can get from it. Elio walking into Broken Blade. Caps looking for the opportunity here on Artemis. The feathers are recalled, but they don't find the right target. Lebrov is picked off. GAM with another one. A 5v3 on the map, and Baron is alive.
GAM are cold-blooded. The killer instinct from GAM here. Again, they go for the dive. They go for the flank play. Teleport in. They're able to assassinate the Misfortune. They get one more. They're going for the resets, though. G2 kind of checking over by Baron to make sure they're not trying to snowball out of control by stacking a Baron on top of those kills.
This game is action-packed. Remember, while you're watching the action unfold, keep an eye out for exclusive drops just for tuning in here to MSI 2025. All you need to do is log in and be watching on lolesports.com as we check in the replay of how GAM made it happen.
The deep lane teleport ward here, and Kiai is able to jump over, get away from that Mbessa ultimate, and right on to Han Sama in one nice leap strike. Invested the flash to do so. Trade flash with Blob there, so then they don't have the flash for afterwards, and they make the nice follow-up pick. Elio doing some good work on his recon.
This is by far the best game of the day from GAM. They are playing the map much better. They are playing as a team much better. They still have the strongest individual gold lead this game for Kiaya in 1,500 over Broken Blade.
And again, they're doing it on comfortable, iconic champions for them. Jax iconic for Kiaya. The Wukong iconic for Levi. And for Eris, his most played is Ahri. Artemis and Elio, both of them most played there for the split.
And Hans Sama, the target again as GAM go in, exhaust onto the MF, immediately followed up with the damage from the Xayah, and with Hans out of the picture, new targets remain. Lebrov, Pop Blossom will only mark his own grave. Double kill for Eris, set up by the bottom lane. GAM feeling good about this one. Levi ticks level 15 as GAM head over to the Baron pit. G2, they're recognizing it. They're going to take the consolation prize of the mid lane tier 1 turret, but Mr. Kobe, I will tell you what, I will take that trade every day of the week.
Yes, you certainly will, and you will like it. Broken Blade gonna try, wow, they're actually gonna get quite a few towers here.
Now this trade is a little bit more dicey as they take the tier 2s in both mid and bottom. That actually leads to what at the very beginning is a negative 3,000 Red Bull Baron power play for the side of GAM. They've got to make up some of this gold now.
Yeah, and the graphic kind of updating there a little bit afterwards.
Okay, there we go. I was going to say, that sounds extreme.
Plus, remember, they got the kills before they took the Baron, so that's not taken into account with the timing of the start for the power play there. So definitely an advantage for GAM. Plus, obviously, now they get to push with the Baron buff. Try and make some headway on some towers. Looks like... Well, Kiaya actually needs some money for something right now. He wants to farm the Wolf Camp real quick.
Yeah, he's working towards the Hourglass.
Yeah, the Hourglass isn't like the greatest upgrade since he hasn't broken the arm guard, so maybe it's the boots. I like the boot upgrade.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you break the arm guard, the Hourglass matters a lot. But otherwise, I'm just like, it's whatever. Okay. Clone from Lebrov doing some scouting again. I do look forward to once Nico is out in Fearless mode because the clone is so hard to commentate. It's just, it constantly jukes me. It's one of the most difficult abilities in the game. But G2 now trying to defend at the tier 2 here in the bottom lane. The tier 2 has already fallen mid, but the side lane's still standing. GAM, if nothing else, with this Baron, want to remove that standing gold from the side lanes here in the tier 2s. Eris is pushing up in that top side, getting that wave ready to go. Unfortunately for GAM, that top wave has been shoved towards them almost the entire game long, so they have to keep going up there and trying to deal with that. Elio, jump over the wall, grand entrance onto Caps. Yeah, it doesn't do a lot, but it at least procs the bone plating.
Yeah, here we go. And they finally do get their cannon up to the tower. Little bit of damage. As you see, Eris pushing on the top side.
Okay, snowball from Skumon. Not going to find a target there. Nice sidestep from Artemis. Elio scrapping with Broken Blade off to the side. Everybody on GAM knows all they got to do is play this patient. Let Eris push up top side, use the Baron, grab that tier 2. There's only 45 seconds left on this Baron. And so Eris is just going to keep pushing now. Caps and Skumon, though, both heading up here. Eris wants to finish this off, but it may cost his life.
Good ward. The ward sees them on the rotation over.
Nice
Eris
job.
Pays respect.
Sticks around just long enough to allow the Baron-empowered minions to finish the job, secure the turret, and get out without even having to spend his Spirit Rush. Now, one thing that's worth pointing out, there are a lot of bounties on the side of GAM. They need to make sure they're continuing to play this clean, continuing to play this in a coordinated way when it comes to the calls of the assignments and what they're gonna trade where, because every kill you give away as part of a trade is worth that much more. There's a 500 gold bounty on Eris, a 500 gold bounty on Artemis, almost 400 on both Kiaya and Levi. That's a lot of extra money if you let G2 pick these up. Skumon, though, what?
Delivery!
The hell was that?
That was a
What?
speed delivery.
Okay, not exactly sure what went down there, as GAM now going to use the redemption to heal up. And they've got Kiaya and the bottom lane pushing towards the tier 2 turret as Eris applies the pressure back over in mid. GAM force down the tier 2 in bottom lane, back up to a 4,500 gold lead. They've got themselves 3 Ocean Drakes with 2.5 minutes until the Soulwood spawn. GAM continuing to push these waves forward. It's a 5v4 for the next 15 seconds, and GAM are going in. The dive coming out from Elio into the back line, looking for the kills here, as they've already killed Caps. He's down. Lebrov will go with him. Hans tries to fire back, but there's not a lot you can do when Kiaya's already got a triple kill. GAM, smack him right in the mouth.
When all the pressure is on, GAM stands tall. They get another team fight. They're facing elimination. They get the kills, they teleport back, and they're looking for G2's Nexus.
They are looking for the end. They are looking for game 4. Skumon's back alive. Hans is still standing, but they're the only 2. Skumon wanted to channel the ulti, but they won't let him do it. Now the first Nexus turret is already dead. Kiaya finding his way to Hans Sama here in the back. Levi goes on a killing spree. Skumon goes straight into the graveyard. Lebrov's alive, but who cares? That's support Nico, and that's GAM taking us to game 4.